Sí, de esos pixitos.
Are we good? Are we rolling? George?
Yeah.
Rolling? Okay. All right, we are back with the Boulder City Mayor's Race. So, for the extension time, we are going to be doing our 1 minute timing. Go ahead and give us your 1 minute bio. You'd like to go ladies first, or would you like to go incumbent first?
I'll go first. My name is Linda Strickland. I am running for mayor. I am currently a city councilwoman. I was elected in the primary in 2007. I am a mother of 2 sons who are ensigns in the Navy. One is in Milton, Florida in flight training, and the other is in Meridian, Mississippi in jet training. I am an attorney. I've been practicing law since 1983. I was admitted to California in 1983, admitted to Nevada in 1996. During that time period, I've owned my own law office. I've been a partner with other individuals, and this is something that I've done on my own. In other words, this is not a business that Daddy handed me or that I was able to get it through my father's name. This is something that I built on my own. My husband and I moved to Boulder City in 1998 because we wanted to escape the congestion of Southern California. We love it there. We think it's a wonderful place. Thank you.
And the green thing comes up, it's 10 minutes.
10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Ready? Hi, I'm Roger Tobler. I'm currently the mayor in Boulder City. I also served as a city councilman for 4 years prior to being mayor. I grew up in Boulder City. I'm raising my family in Boulder City, and I'm currently running a business in Boulder City, a local True Value hardware store. My background is accounting, finance, and business. I have 5 children. My youngest is 8, and my oldest is 21 right now. And we have them mixed all the way through there, attending the schools in Boulder City. Like I said before, I served as city councilman for 4 years prior to being mayor. It's been a wonderful community to serve in. We have some positive things with our community moving forward, and where a lot of things that have been happening in this valley because of the economy, Boulder City has had some positive things. So hopefully we'll be able to talk about some of that. Thank you.
And we have John Fong.
Richard Hawkins, attorney and economics professor. What is Boulder City currently doing that would actually benefit economically from stopping? What program or other activities actually getting in the way, or to be more blunt, in what way is it shooting itself in its foot that it can stop doing?
I don't think Boulder City is really doing anything that they need to stop doing that shoots itself in the foot economically, other than we do have solar leases which currently are going to be bringing into the city quite a bit of money over the next several years. The problem is, however, that our CPI adjustment with respect to those leases is actually going to turn us upside down if we don't start getting the employee costs in control. We have been very good, though, as far as trying to maintain Boulder City's economic stability over this tough economic time. I think that we have been pretty successful in doing so. The problem is that we in Boulder City have to ensure that we keep our costs and the way we spend our taxpayer money in line, and we have not been doing that as well as we should in the last 4 years.
Well, I agree. I don't think there's anything we should be doing differently in Boulder City. We're actually aligning ourselves with our energy zone and those leases coming in. I think what's important for Boulder, though, is that we now protect that money that's coming in. We are setting up a financial plan. We're dedicating that money to reducing debt, doing those things that are going to bring back our general fund the stability and vitality that we need, that a poor economy has hurt us with. I would have to say that we have been very conservative as far as employee raises and those type of things, and I would agree. We need to make sure that we continue to be able to do what we can afford in Boulder City, that we don't grow it out and increase government when these monies come in, but instead protect it and do those things that bring back, you know, the type of things that the community wants, that they want to see once again vitality and stability in our finances.
Luke?
Good afternoon, thank you for coming. Lou LaBella, Veterans in Politics. Boulder City is the home to the Veterans Cemetery, and I've had the privilege of doing a lot of honor guards out there. My question is this: it was brought before the City Council before whether or not to do a crematorium at the Veterans Cemetery. At the time, the issue was the air pollution. Now they have new technology to cut down on that air pollution. Would you be open and would you advocate so these veterans' families do not have to spend the extra $400 transporting the body from Boulder City to either the City of Vegas or City of North Las Vegas to get them cremated? So it's a two-part question, your stance and would you advocate, how would you advocate? Thank you.
I'll go ahead and take that. You know, as a mother of two sons that are in the Navy, I am very close to the whole issue of military and the importance of our veterans cemetery to those that served our country. You know, as you drive down Veterans Drive in Boulder City, you see the names of those people who are serving right now. Those names are also include my son's names up there. And yes, I think it would be something that I absolutely would advocate, especially now with your information that we can do so without such adverse effects with respect to air pollution. We need to try to make sure that our families that serve the military are comfortable, that we are able to accommodate them. And in Boulder City, we have always done that. We have tried it at least as best as we can with the Veterans Home, with the Veterans Cemetery, and with all the organizations that we have. So yes, I would advocate that. I think that that is a very good idea, and I'm certainly in favor of that.
I agree with Linda on this. I think we've always been supportive of the programs.
State your name for the...
Oh, Roger Copeland. We've always been very supportive of what they requested of the city. I don't know when that came to the council before. I don't believe either of us were involved at the time. If there's new technology, then those type of things, then we would certainly look at that. And as it comes back to the city council, I don't see that that would be anything that I would fight against. But I think the point is that we are very willing to work with, whether it's the cemetery, the veterans home. We take pride in supporting our veterans in Boulder City. As she talked about the plaques coming into Boulder City. We have the veterans parks. I mean, we are very much geared towards that and be supportive of any of the programs they talk to us about.
Laura?
Laura Davidson, Treasurer of Veterans in Politics. There's been a growing concern for Highway 93 and the problems that it's increased with response time, accidents, and you've got a 4-lane bridge that basically bottlenecks into a 1-lane road all the way through Boulder City. I was just wondering if you were advocates of building the Highway 11, I think it's going to be called, through Boulder City, and what we would do about the failing businesses that rely on the tourism to go through the town.
Certainly, I support Roger Tober once again, supporting Interstate 11. In fact, Boulder City has a bypass project, and we're kind of stating that that remains our bypass to the Interstate 11 project. 93 has been a big concern for Boulder City. I held a press conference in December with the RTC Jacob Snow, and because of that, it's raised awareness of the problems we're having on Highway 93. And the accidents and the backups and everything else. So with that, we are getting attention. We're now widening NDOT is committed to widening the road using state money, which they hadn't before. We still need to fight for the Interstate 11. It may affect some businesses, but what we need to realize is what's coming down the road, and that's an increase in truck traffic with the seaport of Mexico going in. And 93 is going to be one of the major routes. So we definitely still have to fight for Highway 93, which would follow our bypass route.
And I agree, too, that we do need to fight for Highway 93. That is the will of the people of Boulder City. We approved that in, I believe it was 1998, to go ahead and have the southern bypass. The concern I have is I want to make sure that if our state and if our federal government is going to go ahead and support Highway Interstate 11, that it isn't in the current route that it is right now. One of the things that I was concerned about way back when I was elected to council in 2007 was the idea of whether or not our government would actually be able to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, or hundreds of millions of dollars, I should say, on Boulder City, a population of 16,000 people. And I continue to have that concern. I think as we're waiting for Interstate 11 to be built, we need to be taking whatever steps that we can reasonably take to ensure that the people who live on the Hemingway Valley side have a safe route, and that we don't have problems for them, and that people will continue to come to Boulder City. One of my concerns was that with respect to the press conference that the mayor held, that all of a sudden people in Las Vegas who wanted to come to Boulder City, the world away for a day, were concerned that they were going to get involved in congestion and traffic, and they were avoiding our town. I think we need to be careful how we address that issue.
All right. So just to let the candidates know, if you have anything additional that you would like to add, these videos will be on YouTube, and you can, it will be posted on the Veterans in Politics Facebook page, and you can go ahead and add volumes past that, okay?
Thank you. First of all, it's a follow-up question to Laura's, because obviously this Highway 93 issue is a major issue. In reading up on it, it's caused a lot of congestion within town, and people are somewhat prevented of going there if they think it's going to be a problem. My question is, as a city council person and as a mayor while this project was being built, why wasn't this addressed sooner? And why wasn't someone jumping up and down saying, we need money to do this so that we don't have this problem after the bridge is finished?
Well, actually, I think we were jumping up and down as much as we could. The problem is that the funding just was never available. And as we started looking at other ways to try to resolve the problem, we were faced with a situation that if we somewhat resolved it, we may not get the funding. We were in a catch-22. And so unfortunately, for some, the decision that was made was to do nothing. We wanted to see what would actually happen when the bridge opened up. Obviously, if the funding would have been there, we would have been able to get what we wanted, what the city wanted, and we wouldn't be in the situation that we're at, but the funding just was not available. So at that point, we had to balance, how are we going to deal with the situation? Again, my position had always been, let's try to do what we can to try to resolve the problem as best as we can, because I don't know if we're ever going to get the money. I was in somewhat of a minority situation because I was looking at doing some other things using a different road that we have, industrial road, perhaps building a flyover from one side to the other to help the residents get into the downtown area. But none of that was something that was supported by the council. So here we sit, we're going to widen the roadway going from Boulder City down into the lake area so it will be more lanes, more traffic can flow through there, and hopefully that will resolve some of the problems that we have right now. But I did want to point out that it is not every day that it's like this for those of the folks that want to come to Boulder City. It happens to be weekends, and it happens to be holiday areas, times. Otherwise, the traffic seems to be flowing quite well.
You have 20 seconds additional.
Okay, thank you. Roger Tolber once again. We've been making our case for many years. Even before I got involved on council, other politicians before us have been making our case. This isn't something we just all of a sudden realized that we're going to have a problem because it goes from 4 lanes to 2. And that's what we've been pointing out for many years. I've been to Washington, D.C. making that point. I've been to our state legislation making that point. We've been doing this for many years. It comes back to resources. And we all know that, you know, when there's a lack of resources, the money kind of goes where it's most desperately needed. And at that time, we didn't have the statistics or the proof that we were going to have the problems. And that's why we are in the case right now. But widening 93 will definitely help us. And you know, when we were talking about the press conference and so forth, you know, at that time, nothing was being done. We had made many calls. The state wasn't paying attention to it, even with that problem. So the press conference definitely raised awareness. You know, I wasn't outside of the city at that time. I was there in the problems. I have a local business. I know what the residents were feeling, the pain that they were feeling, and that definitely kind of brought everything forward with the governor even making our case back in Washington, D.C. now, and widening the road.
Actually, I have a question, and it has to do with something that's been brought to my attention about a First Amendment violation. Now, in the First Amendment, I'm not talking about freedom of speech, I'm talking about the right for citizens to petition their government for redress of grievances. Now, it's been brought to my attention, and I did a lot of research about it, and apparently the government is now allowed to break that amendment with something that is called a strategic lawsuit against public participation that came to be, and they started doing it, they've been doing it since the 70s. Why is government doing this, and where did it originate, and why is the government continuing to break the First Amendment?
Is this regarding the ballot questions specifically? Is that what you're referring to?
No, that was the problem that was brought to me, but overall, in general, why would the government do such a thing when it is the First Amendment right?
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll answer that. As I explained earlier, I'm an attorney, and
Well, actually, we'll leave this one on time.
okay, and in the spring of 2010, some very civic-minded individuals in Boulder City decided to circulate 4 initiatives in Boulder City. They gained sufficient signatures, and those signatures were certified to go on the ballot. And after the signatures were certified to go on the ballot, the City Council voted to bring a lawsuit to sue the citizens of Boulder City, the initiative sponsors. As an attorney, what I decided to do, it was after the vote, I had not been retained, I was not involved in it, but after the vote, those people who had been sued approached my husband and I, he is also an attorney, and asked us to represent them. And we have been representing them in the lawsuits ever since. The first lawsuit was involving an initiative that the city was trying to prevent being placed on the ballot. We were able to succeed in allowing that initiative to be placed on the ballot. The citizens of Boulder City ultimately did not approve that. But originally, the city, in its original lawsuit, brought up the lawsuit against 3 initiatives. They subsequently proceeded with just the one pre-election, but post-election, they sued again. They sued the initiative sponsors again. Right now, as we stand, one individual, one initiative sponsor in Boulder City has been sued 3 times. 3 or 4 people have been sued twice, and the lucky ones have only been sued once. Why this is happening, I don't know, but I can tell you this, that with respect to pre-election challenges to an initiative, that the city can certainly do that, but the city should be suing not initiative sponsors for engaging in their constitutional right to initiative. If they're going to bring suit, they need to be suing the people who are responsible for putting it on the ballot. That would be the Secretary of State, the Registrar of Voters, the city clerk, but not the initiative sponsors. And on post-election challenges to ordinances that have been passed by the people of Boulder City, and 2 of these initiatives were passed, they should not be suing initiative sponsors again. There is a procedure that they can use where they don't have to sue anybody. What has happened in Boulder City now is that people are concerned about circulating initiatives, because if you circulate an initiative in Boulder City, you're bound to get sued. In fact, the city has sued on 7 of the last 8 initiatives. They have sued the sponsors of initiatives. I don't know the mentality. I don't agree with the mentality. But quite frankly, it's going on. And there is a cloud over Boulder City right now with respect to our freedoms, specifically the freedom to circulate an initiative.
Hey, Mr. Mayor, this is also for you, because this is going to be on YouTube and everything. This is your chance to give us the rationale behind this.
First of all, I'd like to point out that Councilmember Strickland now is speaking as an attorney for petitions. She no longer represents Boulder City or the best interests of Boulder City, which she's sworn to do as a councilwoman. She now is protecting the best interests of her clients. We never, ever hindered or got involved in the process of the petition program. We allowed that. We worked with petitioners. And when she talks about the first petition going forward, she failed to point out that I was the tiebreaker vote that allowed that petition to go forward on the ballot. And I tried to compromise on some of these things. What the question is we are questioning the constitutionality of the questions, that they infringe upon the administrative duties of the council, which have been given to us by our legislation. And that's all that's being questioned here. We are not suing any of the petitioners for any harm, money, or punishment. They're simply named as the defendants on the lawsuit. Now, she says there's a better way to do this, which is interesting now, because when we discussed that in July as a city council, I asked specifically a number of times, give me a better way to do this. She and her husband, who defend the petitioners, both were there in that meeting. And never once did they ever tell us that there was a different way we could proceed. And we told them that we were going to proceed. In fact, they told us it'd be better to wait after these went to the vote, which once again, I compromised with Councilmember Strickland on that. So I want to point out that if there's a better way to do it, this city council would do that. And we wouldn't have a problem with that. What's happening, once again, all we're trying to find out is the legality of the question, which from her own words after the recall effort, whatever we should do first is we should make sure it's legal. That's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to harm any of the petitioners. Never were they, once again, hindered or kept from proceeding with that petition process. We protect that, and I have a lot of respect for the people that went through that work on that. But once again, all we're trying to find out is the constitutionality. What they've done since then, Councilmember Strickland and her husband, is that they sued the city on anti-SLAPP law motions. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I can't explain all this. But they lost all three of those in court, and now they're appealing that to the Supreme Court. And they're asking us now, they asked the courts to defer their questions on whether these questions are constitutional or not. So they're prolonging the process. This could have been answered before now if it could have just gone through the courts. Once again, we don't have a problem with the petition process. We have a problem with the idea that it takes away from the administrative duties of the council. And we should be making sure that whatever goes before the voters is legal or not. And that's our difference of opinion. I can respect her opinion, but I've got to tell you, it's not so black and white.
And I would like to let the mayor and the councilwoman know that because of this situation, the SLAPP order, which isn't Boulder City in specific, it's like I said, it's been going on nationwide since the 70s. We've decided with Veterans in Politics to create a Justice Council, which will now be available to council members and the mayor's office of all the areas that we serve, for you to be able to call us to come and testify. So if you need that help going forward, we now have a Justice Council with a panel of attorneys that you can pick the brains of for that better situation.
Thank you.
It's a very good idea.
And we actually have 2 more minutes left, and Lou has a question for you. So, like I said before, this is going to be on YouTube. You can go to the Veterans in Politics Facebook page and write volumes if you so choose. Okay?
Lou Bello, Benefits Director, Veterans in Politics, www.squadbay.org. Boulder City is definitely leading the 3 cities around here, I would say, in Veterans Affairs, with the Cemetery Veterans Drive. With
There's actually the home as well.
So this is my question. Although Boulder City has done more, let's say, than the other cities, and they have done quite a lot, after my experiences and talking to my fellow warriors, I'm inclined to say it's still not enough. And probably until the day I die, I will say it is never enough. You mentioned a Veterans Park. In Las Vegas, we have memorials, we have parks. Everything is.
We don't have a memorial.
Everything is still open to the public. It is not a private sanctuary for veterans. And I can tell you from experience that a lot of the men that I served with lack that environment where it is for veterans. It's not a public park where you have random people and a little sign that says, oh, by the way, people died in war, and so now we put up a little memorial in this park. My question is this: would you support a private, let's say a private park, if you want to call it that, or a private veterans community center where veterans would have a chance to come to a place somewhat similar to the Marine Corps League without enabling them with the bar next door? So instead of having that next door, we don't want to take anything away from our brothers here, a little more healthy environment. Would you support something that is publicly funded yet only available privately to people that would prove that they were veterans? Thank you.
I certainly would support something like that is publicly funded. Of course, I would want to make sure that I obviously have a particular reason why I feel this way with my sons being in the military and understanding what you go through. But Of course, we would need to check with our constituents as well and see what their feeling is. I would tend to think the people of Boulder City would certainly be behind this. So, the feeling of Boulder City, people there with respect to veterans is obvious by all the different things that we have at this particular time. And we have the space to do it. We have the ability in areas where we can put a park, if that's indeed something that you think that would be beneficial. We don't have very many buildings or areas necessarily for construction, but we do have some particular places. So I would think the people of Boulder City would be very supportive of it, and I think it's a wonderful idea. It definitely falls in line with everything that we believe in Boulder City with respect to the veterans, and we always welcome you there, and so why not have a place for you? I think it's a great idea.
You know, I would agree with that. I don't really have a lot to add. I would like to point out that, you know, we talked about Boulder City being a very, friendly to the veterans. You know, all those facilities were put in before we were in office, so we can't really take credit for that, but we sure like to participate in those things. And I think something that you're talking about, one thing is I have talked to veterans, and we do spend time at the Veterans Home and at different events that they have. You know, they don't ever ask me for any private type of facilities, and I think, you know, a lot of times they like their families to be able to come out. My father's a veteran, so
Their families would be allowed.
okay, the families would be allowed. Something like that, I think certainly we would be agreeable to. I think maybe a better thing to do is partnering with the cemetery or the Veterans Home or something along the line with those facilities would probably be the proper way to go with something like that.
All right, we are at the 4 o'clock hour. That is all the time we have for the Boulder City Mayor's Race. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's going on YouTube, and we have been live streaming on the internet. So thank you both for coming out. And if I could have the